Hey guys, I've got these 4 signatures, and this is the combination of Leslie Claire Jones, Creative Paper Pizzazz, and myself, our little collaboration that we were doing. And this has come out quite thick. I thought, well, I could make 2 from it, but I thought, no, I want to keep them all together. I do use a journal, so this is going to be my journal. But the largest envelope I have is 10 by 13, which is too big this way, but not big enough in the important part. I mean, I could cut it down, but in this way it's not big enough. So when I ordered a special mat from Michael's for some artwork a while ago, I just happened to be there when they got it out of the box, and it had this paper in the box, and I said, oh, do you guys use that? Can I have this paper? And they said, oh yeah, absolutely. So I am going to cut the size from this paper. It's got a little bit of a thickness to it, but I am going to cut out the piece that I want, and I don't quite know. It's probably going to be about 9 by 15, and I'm going to cut out about 4 of these out of this paper. This paper opens up to almost the size of a twin bed. It's huge. But I am going to cut about 4 of them, I think, to start off with anyway. I'm going to Mod Podge them together, and I might do some other interesting things, just experimenting, and I thought I'd bring you along with me, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this off camera because I don't know how I would do it with you guys watching, other than I'm going to measure and actually use my scissors, because you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I want it close anyway. But I'm going to go ahead, it's way too noisy. This stuff really crunches. I'm going to cut these off camera, and then I'm going to come back on and we'll start to play. Okay, so I've cut them out. Now, you know, some of them were the ends, so they've got some wrinkles, but you know, I'm just kind of like, this is wrinkled, so I'm flipping over and going to do wrinkled to here. Now, I've already glued 2 of them together just to kind of speed this process up, and basically I'm going to do quadrants, and I need to make sure that I am getting the glue all over You do need to move rather quickly, but probably the biggest thing is don't move the bulk of your stuff to the very edge, because then that's when you're going to really be making a mess on the and if you need to add some more, because again, you need to be moving fairly quickly with this. And you want, like I said, glue all the way to the very edge, but don't put so much glue there that you're losing half of it onto your surface you're working on. Okay, and don't try and spread it so thin, because then all it's going to be doing is drying on you before you're done. And as you work with these knives, these little, I mean, you can do it with a brush. I just find these a heck of a lot easier to clean than brushes. So I tend to not use glue. I try not to use glue with my brushes. Now I've got a space over here. It looks like it's kind of dry. I'm just going to Okay, so there's that. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to lay it down as edge to edge as I can. Again, I didn't make these perfect, and then I'm just squishing. And I don't want to get a whole bunch of glue all over the surface of this because I don't yet know what I want to do. So I do want all the edges. Okay. There's that. Lay that up to let it dry a little bit. Okay. Just trying to keep this as clean as possible. I hate glue all over me. I don't mind ink or anything else like that. Glue drives me nuts. Okay. So here's the two that I had already done before I got on camera, and I basically did it and then turned the camera on, so it's not dry. I've cut myself a tie for the book, and I'm going to enclose it in between the piece that I just did with 2 pieces of paper and the piece that I did previously. So I'm just going to glue this up just like I just did. Oops. Just trying to stay as neat as possible. I'm about out of this bottle, so when you have a full bottle, it's not quite so hard getting the glue out. I'm getting it from the bottom. The bottom. Okay. I have a nicer one of these knives, and I keep finding myself going to this plastic one. Go figure. Okay, I'm a little dry over here, so I'm just adding a little back to that. Going to place the center, I guess this is about it, and center this in the paper, and then lay this paper on top of this paper. And then I'm going to get my heavy book, and I'm going to lay it on it and let it completely dry, and then I'll come back and show you what we've got. Okay, so now this is nice and dry, so back, okay, I must not have cleaned, oh goodness, must not have cleaned it off very well. No, I didn't. Okay, so back to putting this on again. Some more here. And we want to get it on all of the bits and pieces. I don't want to get it on my lace. And get it into the little, all the little ripples, and yeah, you want it everywhere. You want this material to really stick and not have bubbles. Okay, and I'm spreading it as thin as I dare, but not making it so thin that that it's going to dry on me before I can finish. At least I'm hoping not. We'll just have to keep playing with it. And I did cut, when I was cutting my material, I cut into my lace a little bit, but that little bit of the lace right there is probably going to be glued between the material on the outside of the book and the material on the inside of the book, but I am going to stitch it with some white thread just to make sure, and it'll be as good as new. Okay, we are almost ready here. Almost ready. Okay. There we go. I think we're good, and we can always come back. Now this is my back side. So let me make sure. Yes. Really, yeah, I'm going to do it this way. Pull it down. Okay, now let me pick this up and see. I need to pull this part here down some more before it gets too dry. Just kind of stretching the material a little bit so that I'm getting, yeah, I almost cut it a little too thin, almost. Okay, I do want to make sure though. Let's see. Let me clean up this so I'm not getting it all over my material. Okay. Now, let's find a yep, let's find one of those thingy bobbers. Here we go. I want to make sure that I'm getting glue on every part of this and not gonna have bubbles. Don't want bubbles. That had a little excess, little extra. Didn't need all that. Okay, might be a little easier to do this end. Making sure I'm really smushing that glue around. Sure those corners and all the ends are down. And now we're gonna put our heavy book down on this. And if you have some kind of book board or heavy board or something, I just lay this and this down, and that kind of gives me a nice big space and really good pressure across the whole thing. Okay guys, so I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so I have this, and I'm going to take some you know, this stuff, cross stitch material. And I'm going to line it up with the material. Flip it around here. Line it up with the material so that I get a nice edge, I want a little bit of an edge all the way around. And I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little bit of a pencil mark instead of trying to cut with that okay, and this way I won't have to cut with this on here. It's just going to make it a whole lot easier. I'm just going to, as long as I'm somewhere on that line, I'm going to be just fine. And come around here. Anytime I find this type of material at the thrift store or garage sale or something, I usually pick it up because it's a really nice material to do this kind of thing with. It's a good sturdy material. The tighter the weave, the more I like it, but you know, I pretty much buy any of it. Okay. Now, we have that, and it's going to be really nice. If there's a little bit of it that sticks over too much somewhere afterwards, I can trim it down, but this way I know, at least I know I have enough. And I'm actually going to make sure that this gets glued down really well so that I don't have to sew it. Didn't want to sew it, so I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac on that. I'm going to just run some of the Fabri-Tac right there while I'm working on the rest of this. So there you go. Okay. So that will dry. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to take these and sew them into the center of this so that that doesn't go with that, but I'm going to sew them within a certain section. So, and then I thought I had a guide made, but I guess I didn't, so let's see. Okay, so this is just a piece of paper here. I'm gonna cut it the same length. Let's see, move it here. Cut it the same length. Alright, now, obviously to find your center, you're going to do this. Now we can find the center of this way. As well. Okay. So there's that. Okay, that way we've just got everything on the right line. Now we've got this is center. And I'm going to open this up and I'm going to do this. Okay. Now this just gives me, obviously one hole is going to go right here. Now if you were going to do three stitch, usually it's not this large. You would just do like an inch down or a half an inch down from each side and your center. But I'm going to do the 5 pamphlet stitch for this one. So I'm still going to go about a half inch down here.
Just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. Just a minute.
Sorry, my mom and my dad are having a conversation across the house. And I'm going to, right where I made that mark, just put a little hole in. Okay, and then, so you have the centers. You can, if you want, just use those points. I'll come in just a little bit off the center point, and then I'm going to do the same thing, just so I know that's. So now I have my, I can put this hole right in the center of that. Okay, so now I have my holes for each one of my signatures, and I always designate a top. It doesn't matter which one's the top, but always designate one end as the top and put that on the top, just in case there is a difference. You're gonna always have this top hole in the top of each one of the signatures, and it's just gonna work better. So I'm gonna go ahead and do I have my, no. So much for prepping for you. Let's see. Where did I put it? Holy Hannah. Well, I'll just get another one. Okay. I get these from like Michael's, and these are in the corner of boxes where you get your frames and different things like that. So you can always ask them for one of those. Okay, so this pretty much keeps things at about a 45-degree angle, which is kind of what you're looking for. And you're going to line it up, and you're just going to, and you want to poke your hole so that it actually comes out on the fold. Okay, so you're looking to poke straight down so that it'll come out on the fold, and that way you're going to have less, like, you're going to be less likely to tear the paper and that kind of thing. So there's that, and that, and that, and then down here, and down here. Okay, let's see how well I did. Yep, they are all right on the fold, so that's perfect. I will probably need to make them a little larger. And it is much easier when you go to put your needle through that you actually have this folded at about the same fold that you, oops, see, now that one didn't go through just the same way. That you actually have it folded in exactly the same manner, you know, same kind of angle. So when you're punching the hole through, if you want to get your needle to go straight through, you don't want to remove these until after you get it sewn on. And if you hold it at the same kind of angle, you're going to have a better shot at getting the needle through because your pages are going to be lined up. Okay. So I'm going to do that with the rest of these, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I have my 4 signatures, and I've kind of centered it. On the book. I have about the same amount coming around both sides, give or take a little bit. And I've got the signatures loose. So I'm going to flip this over, and I've already done it on one side, and the 2 outside ones I've made little marks right here and right here for the 2 outside signatures, where I'm kind of lining them up. And then I've got the next 2, one right there and one right there. So that gives me a little guide so that I know about how far. This one I will probably bring up a little bit more to there. But that way there's about the same amount of space, and I know kind of what I'm wanting to do. I think I'm gonna try and erase this. Okay. Alright, so now we're just going to get sewing. And there's lots of videos out there that tell you how to do all of the different pamphlet stitch and Coptic stitch, and you know, whatever specific ones you want to do. I just need to find what I did. Here they are. I knew I had them somewhere. And I actually use a embroidery needle. You can use darning, embroidery. The darning needle actually tends to be a little too thick. But once you find one that you really like, that works with the materials and type things that you like to work with, keep it. Find something to, you know, someplace to put it and keep it. Let me think now. I'm going to get my see, did I put that? There it is. I'm just going to get my white cotton. Now this is it's called bedspread cotton. It's size number 13. And this originally had 1,200 yards on it, so I think I'll have it for quite some time to come. And as you know, if you do 1, 2, 3 lengths, you will be just fine. So I need 4 of those, but I tend to not like get too spread out. And because I'm doing this the way I'm doing it, I'm going to do one of the center ones first, instead of usually when it's a hardbacked, I usually start with one side and go to the other side, but I'm going to do the 2 center ones and then do the 2 outside ones. So I'm going to do the center back one. And again, I'm going to center it. See, this is the one I want to use. I'm going to center it top and bottom. And then this one will be the one that I will use to line up everything else. Okay. Wait a minute, one other thing that I really need to do before I move on this is I'm going to take my T-ruler, especially for this first one. Not that I think by any stretch of the imagination that this is straight, but I'm going to try and use my line and take a pencil and line it that way. Okay, so this first one will be somewhat easy to kind of follow along with. Let me make sure somewhat centered. There we go. Leave a nice little tail. Now I'm going to make sure that I've got it lined up. Easier said than done. There. Now it is lined up. Pull it around both sides here so I've got it. And that is the only thing when you go to do this that you're going to want. Let's see if I can get it out. You're going to want a pin, and I'm going to stick it down to the next hole. It's just a pin with a little bottom to it. There. And now I can push that back through and know that right there is my hole. Oops. Nope, I'm going to do it again. It does take a little bit more time to do it this way. I want to make sure that I am pushing it. So let's see here. This right here. So I know I am lining up where it should be coming through. And I keep missing the, there we go. Okay. And the further down you get, the easier it's going to get as well. Okay. I don't know what that is. Alright, now we're going to go through the center, and I'm going to make sure I'm still lined up on that line and that I am still where I need to be. Okay. There's the next one. I'm going to stick the pin through this hole and stick it right through the center there. And there, that one worked much better. Okay. There we go. Now we got the last one down here. Again, we're gonna try and make sure that we're in line. Okay, pull this through. All right. Now, you're going to fill in the blanks on the way back. So you're going to put right into this hole. And I'm going to find that spot again. I'm going to try and go in just one stitch back off of the material and then put it through the hole, and I missed part of the hole. Let's see. And you want to try and get it at that exact oh, and I lost it again. Now I keep missing. There we go. And we're going to go right back through the center hole here. And you're always making sure you're not getting the thread caught up with this. And then we're going to go, oops, get this on. I'm going to go back into this hole. Okay, I'm going to pull this back and go into this hole. See, where is that? Okay, and I've got whatever this is, a lot of it right in my way. And back in. Oops. Back in. There. All right. The first one is going to be the toughest. Now let's see. You want to make sure that when you pull on this that you're actually making the thread move and tighten, and that way you know that you have not stuck it inside you know, the thread anywhere. And then we're just going to tie this up at the top hole. And there we go. And then give it the opposite knot. And we're good to go. And I'm just going to cut those off so that they're about equal. So there's the first one sewn in. So now I'm going to do this one next. And then I'm going to do probably this one and then come back and do this one. Alright? And so I will come show you. Oops, sorry. My camera moving around a little bit. I'll come show you in just a minute. Okay, so I want to show you, because I showed you how I did the first one. And I've done the other two. And there's the back of it. And now I'm going to do the last one, which is the back one. And I'm using one of these, well, this is Timmy's ruler, but I want to lay this down flat. I'm going to lay the 1/2 inch line right across evenly, and then make sure this is pulled taut. So the end of this signature I've lined up with that 1/2 inch, and then I'm just giving myself a line to go with so that I can get these on straight. Okay, so that's what I've been doing. I used the T-ruler for the first one, and then I've just been working off the signatures themselves for the last ones. About 3 up and back. And I want my strings on the inside, so I'm starting on the inside. If I want them on the outside, I would start from the outside. So, you know, if you want yours different than what I'm doing with mine, go for it. Whatever is going to... That's the one thing I love about journals, is there's no rules. There's no right or wrong way. There's no one way of sewing them in, strapping them in, taking a sewing machine and sewing across them. I mean, everybody does it differently. And it's, you know, as long as you are happy with the results, that's really all that matters. That is really all that matters. Now, I've got this facing, this is my bottom, this is my top, but I am going to flip it around so that I'm looking at it this way. Yes. I'm going to start up at my top. I'm going to line the top and the bottom signatures. Okay. And then I'm going to put it on... come here. Okay. And you want to leave, see where my tail is, you want to leave yourself a little bit of a tail. Okay, and I'm getting my needle, open this up, stick, this is not a needle, it's a pin, but you could use another needle. Stick this in through the hole. And we want to stick, let's stand it up. So then I ran it through just trying to follow that. Yeah, I got it in, but I didn't get it in all the way through the right part of the book here. Let's see. Huh. I keep missing. There it is. Got it. Put it through. Tighten this back up so that you've got it lined up right with the other signatures. And there we go. Pull this. Get my, oh, what'd I do with my pin? Why I don't put it in the exact same spot all the time, I do not know. Okay, now, again, you want to kind of pull this tight, taut, not tight, so that you have the book lined up with the other signatures. And then we're going to open it up and we're going to stick the pin in the next hole. And get it okay. Stand this up. And just follow this right down. And I think I missed a hole. Okay, but I have it in the material where I want it. Now let me just line the hole up. There we go. Okay. Let's take these out and then back through this one. Go. Okay, again, let's pull it tight so we can see where we're at. What I hook this on. Just like my mom taught me a long time ago, if it gets hooked on something, don't pull like, oh, what's it pull on? Pull, pull, pull. Stop and look. Because you're going to tear something or rip it or something if you just aren't careful with what you're doing. See if we can get this back down through that hole. There we go. And make sure I'm in the center, and I am. Okay, and then we're going back through this hole. And there, and then this hole, This is the one that I had problems with. There we go. Oh, and that looks like I split the string, maybe? Let's see. Let me pull it. No, I did not. Okay. You definitely want to make sure you don't split the string. And that's one thing, if you're using a dull point, it's very hard to split this really super duper thick cotton thread. But if you have a sharp point, it's very easy to split the thread. Now, first we're going to make sure that we are somewhat tight. I'm going to make sure that we have ourselves a book that's all lined up. And we do. Okay. Okay. There we go. And take these off. And I don't remember if no, I did not. Alright, now there is the signatures all sewn in, and they are in a really nice, got really nice good spacing to them. Yes, very good. Very good. Yeah, it's gonna make for a very nice book. I like doing the hidden spines. It is a little more difficult when it's the soft versus a hard spine, because you would just put holes in it and do it just like if you were sewing through a different spine. And then when you go to put it on your book, you would just not glue down this part. So, and that is what we're going to be doing next. Okay, I'm going to put my needle away so I don't lose it. And my pin is around here somewhere. There it is. I always keep that in my little case. There we go. Kind of clean some things up here. Alright, now let's make sure so we're going to start with the back half. And I'm not so sure that I'm not going to want to glue this all the way down. Yeah. And I'm not so sure that I'm not going to want to put some lace around this. Let me see what I can find, and And I think I am just going to glue everything. Just glue it all down. And then it'll... I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let me think about this. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm seeing that you guys can't really see this. So what I did was I found the center of my book and I made some marks, and my spine is 1.5 inches from here to here. From this stitch to this stitch is 1.5 inches, okay? So Tim Holtz ruler is 1.5 inches, ish. So I just lined up the center of the Tim Holtz ruler to these center lines and gave myself just a line on each side. So this is approximately 1.5 inches apart, so that I could, you know, make sure that I'm centering the signatures down. And I'm making sure that this is the top. I'm going to back off a little bit. There we go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up the top and bottom and the first signature on that line, and then I'm going to make sure that it's going to be even all the way around. Okay. There we go. Yeah, that looks like it's going to be pretty good. Now I am going to be gluing all of this down. I'm not going to be leaving the center not glued. This is very forgiving, this material. It's got some stretch to it, so that's what I am going to be doing. So I'm going to start by gluing the back half. I've got it laid out the way I want it. I'm going to be using Fabri-Tac, and I am going to just start on that line, and I'm going to stay for right at this point, just on the paper, and then I can figure out what I'm going to do. So I'm putting a generous amount of Fabri-Tac on here, and I'm going to make sure that it is spread everywhere. Really want it to be good and glued down. Okay, and then I'm just going to lay this part down everywhere. Top and bottom. Make sure I've got it pulled in all the right places. Okay, everything still looks good. Just making sure I'm getting that glue down in that material really well. Okay. So there's that. And then we're just going to load up just because this doesn't have any kind of set spine, this doesn't have it's not hard, it's the paper is not going to be stretchable, but it's certainly malleable, there, I think that's the word, everywhere. So just giving that a little spread out. Okay, now I'm just going to stretch that out, make sure that I get my finger in between each one of these signatures and make sure that it is laying flat. Okay. And there we go. I think that is looking very nice. Okay, little spots that are kind of wrinkled. I'm just getting those out of there. And I'm going to do this again. Next one. And that is really getting the glue down into that material so that it is going to be nice and stuck. Okay, so now I am going to let that get some drying time down here. A bit of it come out through my thumb. That just drives me nuts to have all that stuff stuck on my fingers. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Okay, I can have ink, but boy, when you get that glue on there, it just drives me nuts. Just bonkers. But it's all good. Now, I don't remember where... There it is. I just went in here. Okay. So there is the book. And now I can use that for all kinds of really wonderful stuff. Okay, I'm really liking this. Now once I have let this dry completely, then I'll be coming back and we'll talk about the edges and what I'm going to do. Alright, but I'm going to leave it dry just like that. Be back in a minute. Okay guys, so all I'm going to do now at this point, lay this out, and I want to trim back and in some spots I'm trimming back both pieces. I'm trying very hard not to snag this anymore. So that wasn't extremely straight, although you all know how wonderfully straight I can. How wonderfully straight. I think I'd better turn it this way so I can see what the heck I'm doing. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to take off. I'm getting a little bit into my paper, but I think okay, let's see. Let's see, just a little bit more off of this. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to go around, once I get this cut, I'm going to go around and make sure everything is glued together very nicely. Let's see. That's the one I just did. I could cut that a little closer, I think. Let's see here. Okay, laying this back, I'm going to cut this a little closer. Okay. Probably should have cut this at the same time, but it's all right. There we go. Okay. There, I think that's good. And that brings things a little closer to the edge of the book. Now I've got quite a bit. I like the top and I like this side. Now let's do the bottom and the other side. Now I'm going to take these strings out of my way. Okay, those strings are out of the way. Tuck this into the pocket, I think. Okay. Alright, let's see what we can do here now. This is getting into my paper, and remember that is 4 sheets. I didn't do that super straight, but like again I said, you know how good I am at straight. Okay. Get this. Come on. All right. That looks pretty good. There's a few spots here that need to have a little bit better. There we go. Okay. Now the only one I need to deal with is this one. And unfortunately, well, I think I'll be able to get the majority of this. That's got a little bit of glue on it, I guess, just from spreading the glue out. I'm trying to get this to separate. There we go. Okay. Okay. I actually think I'm going to do this. Okay, until we get here. And then I'm going to have to do them separately. Let me go ahead and cut this off. Now, and unfortunately this is stuck because that's how I sewed my, let's see. And I'm just going to end up leaving that little bit on the back, and that's fine. And then I'm going to snip on this side and see if I can pull this out of the way and start cutting again. There we go. Okay, let's see. Okay, now let's see. That sticks out a little bit further on that side, but you know, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that because I can actually put a space for a pen right here, and I think that will work out perfectly for me. All right. Good, 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 good. Okay, so now let me get all of this mess cleaned up. It is really important when you're doing this kind of thing to have scissors for material and scissors for paper. Once you start doing scissors on paper, it dulls them so quickly. And I can't remember if I've said that already or not, but yeah, it's pretty important. So whatever you do, tie string around them, some ribbon on them, but make sure you know that those are what you're going to use on your material. They don't have to be expensive scissors. Sorry, moving the camera around. But you do want to definitely keep them for material. Okay, so now I am going to take my Fabri-Tac and I am going to make sure that I've got everything glued. All the way around. I didn't really want to be able to see the material, but I cut that a little too close. I mean the paper on the inside, but that's okay. Alright, and we're going to get down in here. Actually, there got in between the two papers. I didn't think I had any spots in the paper that was coming apart. Okay. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to go down the side, and that feels pretty well. I am going to put just a little bit right across the top. And that's going to be kind of like a stop fray kind of thing. Okay. Yeah, because for the most part, this is pretty much glued all the way across here. So I'm just going to put a little bit up on the, and then it's kind of just kind of pinching it so it kind of pulling the two pieces together and sealing. I'm also trying not to get it on my fingernails because that polish will come right off of there. Okay. Alrighty. That's pretty good. Now let's see here. Same thing, this is all pretty well put down, so I'm gonna kind of put that a little bit across there. Okay. One thing, this stuff comes off really nicely off your fingers. Just balls right up. And this is the back. And then the top does need a little bit of assistance. We're gonna right across there, just okay, pinch, pinch, there we go. There's a few spots that were not glued all the way. There's one there. See that? So I'm just finding all those spots and just making sure that I'm putting enough glue in there. And then if it's okay. Okay. Just get a little friction going on your fingers, and that stuff just comes right off. Okay. Now I've just got a little bit more work to do on the inside of this thing, and then I'll be back to give you a whole little tour of it. Alright? Whoops! But you've seen how you can take a soft inside cover and sew your signatures to it and put it to a soft book. Alright guys? Okay. Back